Would you mind coming off of
I
mute
looked up
and
some
just
stuff today.
starting to say the alphabet or something?
Sure. I'm here. I'm home alone for the first time in 3 weeks, so I'm sort of
Perfect.
celebrating.
Thank you so much, Ann. It worked the first time. I think
No,
that's a good sign. All right, so you'll let me know when we're streaming live? Okay, great. Well, hello everyone. This is a meeting of the Pioneer Valley Regional School District School Committee. It is Thursday, February 17th, 2022. It is 7:06 p.m. This meeting is a continuation of our meeting from last week, which was February 10th, 2022. This school committee meeting will be on our website at www.pvrsdk12.org, or you can view it on Facebook/BNC Television. The public is always welcome to attend in person or watch via the links, but in the event of an issue with the links, the public meeting in person shall continue to proceed. And this meeting is being held as a hybrid option in accordance to the governor's March 2020 order suspending certain parts of the open meeting law. And if you would like to speak virtually via Google Meet during citizens' comments, you can always email citizens' comments at pvrsdk12.org. With that, I will call our meeting to order. So we will start here with Miss Melissa.
Melissa Gary, present.
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield here. Jeannie Milton, Bernardston, present.
Karen O'Neill, Leiden, here.
Alan Genovese, Warwick, present.
Michelle Jeruso, Leiden here.
Raina Dastu, Northfield here.
Jim Bell here.
David
David Young, here.
and Julie Burke, Northfield, here. Hey, excellent. I was not notified that there were any citizens' comments this evening. We don't have any citizens here in attendance, and I don't see any trying to come aboard on the Google Meet. I want everyone to know that we are also recording this meeting via Google Meet, just for record documentation purposes, and that has begun. The recording has begun.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so here with business, number one, we have the interim superintendent formative evaluation. So this was a continuation of last week.
Right. As we left the meeting, at our appointed time to end the meeting, we had not gotten to the portion where we could have a conversation about whether we wanted to alter anything as far as the superintendent's goals are concerned. So does anybody have something they would like to start a conversation with? Jim?
Yeah. Hi, Patricia. I just see if I got this straight. When you communicated to the staff about Mr. Burke leaving, you didn't mention anything about your part in his leaving. I wonder why that is.
I was unaware that Mr. Burke would be making any type of announcement on the day he did. When he notified me that he had, I immediately contacted our council. And with council crafted a message, and that's the message that I sent.
But you didn't say anything about your not renewing his contract.
I crafted a message with council, and that's the message that I sent. The message was crafted carefully. I can't say more than that, Jim.
Okay. Do you think that the way
Point,
that.
point of order really quickly though, how does this, what does this have to do with her goals? This was a discussion surrounding the superintendent's goals.
It may affect,
Yeah,
it may affect what somebody may want to put in as another goal.
It should be then brought up as part of a goal. This is a completely separate question.
not necessarily. Julie, please don't insinuate yourself in this conversation. What I was trying to get at is if one of the goals is trust, is this something that engenders or promulgates trust in the community?
Well, then I'm going to make a point of order. I don't think this conversation is appropriate. We hire a superintendent. The superintendent makes decisions. We may not agree with him, but we're really not privy to the reason behind the decision. And it seems like, it feels like we're extrapolating a decision to be something like lack of trust or something else. And I object to this. It's not appropriate, particularly since the superintendent has laid out her goals. We are approaching March. We have all been looking at the evidence and the information that she provided. We've been measuring her against that information, and to introduce something now is not appropriate. If this needs to be a goal for a later time when we're redoing superintendent's goals or our own goals, that's where this belongs. But it doesn't belong here this evening.
And to ask me not to interject, I was in touch with legal counsel who advised me that we should not be discussing this personnel matter during an open meeting. David?
So the word actually was insinuate. It was used, and I'm just disappointed in my fellow long-term school committee members that they would want to interject as school committee members in such a matter. We know better. I mean, I would think that maybe a new school committee member might try to take up the torch on this, but this isn't proper, and you know so. I'm leaving now. If you can text me if you need my participation for a quorum, but it's my birthday and this just makes me sick. I support the superintendent and I will watch a tape. But good night all.
Okay.
Happy birthday, David.
I actually have a question about new goals. And I think with everything going on, I think the goals are appropriate, and I would like to see her continue on with those goals. So I personally don't see a need to add anything or alter anything as we move forward.
Thanks, Melissa. Karen?
Yeah, excuse me. I'd like to offer an issue that, for possible further conversation, brought to mind by a communication from a constituent about our focus on students. And the issue they mentioned was school climate. Now, we can tie a lot of things to changes in school climate. And significant actions have already been taken by our leadership to work on safety, which is a key component of school climate. Other actions have been taken to address barriers to filling open positions by raising pay for some staff and ensuring that related staff are treated justly. We've seen that. Teachers have been challenged in ways they neither foresaw nor could control. And out of necessity, they learned new skills and sought professional guidance to help increase or to help our students control and move through the multiple changes they've faced. And acknowledging that all staff have experienced significant challenges, it's the instructional personnel who have the closest interactions with students. It's well documented that school climate affects both teacher turnover and student achievement. Excuse me. Leadership is thus key to school climate. We have a talented and dedicated staff. We value all of you highly, and we do not express that well enough. Leadership has had to wrestle with complex shifting priorities and policies, and I hope that our leadership would work to keep the needs of our district employees at the forefront, as she has, and focused on continued thought and meaningful actions towards maintaining positive school climate. This could have a very positive impact on student learning, which is what my constituent was concerned about. I'm not sure this involves changing a goal, modifying a goal, but I just thought I ought to let you know how my constituent felt, and that I support her and I support the staff in this school being led by people who focus on student learning. Thank you.
Julie?
Can I
Yeah.
ask?
Oh, Alan, and then,
Well, I just
did
want
you
to
wanna
say,
respond to that?
yeah,
Well,
I would just say
okay.
I agree with what you're saying in terms of student learning. I believe the superintendent has made that a priority and is in her information she's provided and things that she's done, that she has student learning on the forefront of her agenda. So I just want to make sure there's not an implication that we think that she is not having student learning as a major importance in the work that she does. And I hope that it's my misunderstanding of an inference to that, because I would find that insulting.
Michelle and then Patricia.
So I guess this isn't working. Right?
It is actually.
Oh, it is?
It's helpful for the Google
Oh,
Meet.
okay.
Yep. And
So my question to Karen is, your constituent, is it, can I ask in what way? I mean, we are the school committee that's evaluating the superintendent. So you said that you support this person in what? I'm just trying to figure out where
yes.
this is coming from. I
Yeah, okay, yeah. She had viewed the first meeting of this month, and she said she thought it went very well, except she didn't hear very much about student learning. And looking at the student learning goals of the superintendent, they revolved around training administrators are believed to be effective evaluators of teachers mostly. And so I could see where she would get that idea, and I was hoping it could be communicated that that's not the only student learning goal. I mean, there are other parts to other goals there, and certainly, but I think it should come out that there are those goals, if there are. Okay?
Okay, I'll reserve my comment for further,
Okay?
if something else comes up.
Patricia.
Yeah, so I think, of course, we want to focus on student learning all the time. That's our reason for being here.
Hi, we're here.
One of the reasons I expressed interest back in the fall in changing my life plans and asking if the school committee would entertain a conversation about my becoming the permanent superintendent was because of the professional gratification I was experiencing with so many staff saying to me directly and clearly and unequivocally that they appreciated my entry to the district. They appreciated the way in which I approached them. I had many staff say, nobody has spoken with us the way that you speak with us. That makes a difference to me. When I was a teacher, I got my gratification from working with students and seeing my students grow. I don't enjoy that. I don't have that opportunity anymore.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about the growth of adults. The school committee did approve my goals. I remind you respectfully of that.
Yes.
I'm happy to change them. I'd like to share 2 quotes, if I may, as samples of feedback about climate. This is from a staff person. Thank you for always making us feel respected. We have not felt that for a long time. Not to be weird, but I really feel that something happened. I'm not sure what, that brought you here. I'm overjoyed. Claire Brennan. I say via text to a staff member, we talk about something about the holidays. I have really enjoyed getting to work with you this fall. The staff member responds, you make it easy to work with you, exclamation mark. Our district is lucky to have you. Kim Godfrey. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. And I hope that my constituent is going to be tuned in again tonight.
I have a question, maybe as a
Yep,
new.
just raise your hand from now. Yep, there you go. Melissa.
Thank you. As a newbie, a question about bringing constituents forward. One, I'm curious if that's something they wrote or you wrote. And then the other, is it more appropriate in citizens' comments in something like that? Like if the constituent came or submitted a letter to you, that was read during citizens' comments and not as your role as chair of the subcommittee?
Yeah, I would like to get the advice on that, just because we've received letters as a full committee from many people over the past couple of months. Typically, those are not read at a school committee meeting unless someone requests them to be read, and then it would be, please read this. They would send it to Joanne and ask that I read it during citizens' comments. So, you know, Karen, I saw just that yours was handwritten. I'm not sure if that was verbatim from your constituent or it is something that I feel like if that is shared, then these other letters should perhaps be shared.
No, just the what I told you. She relayed to me about not hearing much about student learning during the presentation a week ago. And from that, I wrote some of my own thoughts, and there was nothing, I didn't mean anything bad by it. It was just, I thought something very important, school climate. We've had good school climate recently, and I would like to see that continue. It's so important. It's important for academic achievement of students. The studies show that. It also shows it helps with teacher retention. The studies show that as well. And both of these play into climate. So that was me. The part, as I said, that brought it to mind was what this person told me. Okay? And she is not able to come out to a meeting or hook up very well from Leiden.
Michelle, and then Ellen.
Well, I would just like to make a point of order. If we're going to be saying things about what other people said, it should be the person's name should be given. Those should go with the minutes, like Patricia did. That's public comment. And in public comments, people are recognized, and they go with the minutes. I mean, I have anecdotes from several staff members that have told me things, but I would not bring it up. I have told them to come to the meetings or to ask to be on the remote.
Sure.
and if they want to say something. So I think we need to make sure that we're doing things appropriately, and and people's names are submitted with the minutes, or they come forward themselves. Otherwise, we all have anecdotes. And
Well, I can tell you it is not an employee of the district or a retired employee of the district, if that helps you. It's not a staff member, okay?
it could be a resident. So
Yeah, a
Yeah.
resident.
yeah.
No, I think that, and
It
that's
should
when I
be.
said to get the advice of legal, we all receive feedback
Yeah.
from people, and if we were to bring it to the meeting as evidence supporting, especially something important as a superintendent goal, if we do not quote who it came from, we could, and I'm not saying anyone here would, but it could be fabricated.
Well, I
And
understand
I'm not
that.
accusing you of that.
I-
I'm just saying that we all receive feedback from people.
I do understand that, and we include that in our knowledge of what's going on out in the community. And I think it's better to say it than to have all this input and use it without acknowledging it.
There's a process in which it's shared. That I think that's what we're trying to get at, Alan.
Just a couple quick things. First of all, I very much appreciate your comments. I think that belongs in citizens' comments. If they feel that way, they have an opportunity to express that, number one. And I won't have to repeat what you said because I agree with how you presented that. I think it's very dangerous to start even suggesting that we start looking at emails that we get and making comments. I get many, many emails. I read them, and I usually will respond, thank you for sharing. I'm sure that, the chair will submit us some response, or just this is just to acknowledge that I have read your email and thank you for taking the time to write it. I think that helps in the knowledge base that Karen's talking about for hearing what constituents have to say. But if I were to sort through and decide which ones I'm going to share, because if I'm going to do it, I need to either do them all or none. And if I were to start sorting through and picking the ones that I agree with so that I can then extrapolate and share my own thoughts about that, I think that's a real dangerous practice to start establishing. So I hope we're careful about that. I also, however, appreciate this conversation because it's a chance to just share our feelings in kind of understand where we're coming from. So although I'm disappointed we're having the conversation, I think it's important that we're getting these ideas out there.
Jeannie.
It might be a good idea going forward, that if we do have a comment that we want to relate to the school committee from someone via email, that we tell that person we would like to bring it to the school committee, but we would also want to say who sent it to us. That way we have their permission, and if they say no, then that's where it ends.
I
Yeah.
agree.
It wasn't an email, it was a phone call,
Okay,
okay?
so in that instance,
Mm-hmm.
tell them that you'd like to bring it, but you really feel a need to share who the speaker was.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Melissa.
So it goes back to my question, though. Would we be sharing that during citizens' comments, or would we be sharing that during the meeting?
Historically, it's been shared during citizens' comments.
Right,
And then we don't have further discussion of the point.
right.
So
That's
then
just historically.
you're saying, in this case, I just want to be clear,
Mhm.
I would have, during citizens' comments, relayed the one sentences that was applicable, and then if I wanted to, on this portion of the meeting, talk about how that could relate to this, I would be free to do that, or no?
To answer your question, I think That's exactly right. If you were informed by someone, a citizen, and it got you thinking, you know, and I think that's a great idea. You would ask the citizen if they'd be willing to have their statement read, and then you could then offer up a goal.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Jeannie?
I was just thinking that citizens' comments, I personally believe it's when the citizen themselves is making the comment. We
Yes.
are not making it for someone.
Correct.
Therefore, in this instance,
Yes.
this would not be under citizen comments, because the person making the comment isn't present
You
to say it. That's just my own personal feeling, and otherwise, it can be done inappropriately from what the citizen even meant.
The only time it's been read if the citizen isn't here is when they email Joanne and say, I can't make it.
Exactly.
Yes,
But like in
that's-
this instance for Karen,
Oh, yes,
it would have
no.
been just as it was presented today.
So the citizen who spoke to Karen, they would have to email it to Joanne in order for it to be read.
In order for it to go under
Yes.
citizens' comment. Otherwise, I believe that Karen did it appropriately. Because that citizen wasn't here.
But Karen referenced that a citizen called her
But
and
the
she,
citizen themselves is not stating it. It's someone else stating it for the citizen. And it can be done,
Shouldn't be doing that.
even inadvertently, it can be done wrong.
right, that's where he's
Yeah,
saying it's a
that's what we're
dangerous
saying.
game. You have to,
So
you
I
don't want
would
to,
not put it under citizens' comments, personally.
I
because
think,
the citizen
I-
is not making the comment
Right.
themselves.
I think the takeaway is if a citizen,
We'll have to agree to disagree.
well, no, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm looking for clarification. I want
What
it to
I'm
be.
saying is, the only time a citizen's comment is if a citizen is here to make the comment or sends a letter to Joanne for it to be read during citizens' comments.
Correct.
Other than that, if someone approaches me
Yep.
or Karen or any one of us and we bring it up, it's done during the meeting.
But would you reference that a citizen contacted you, and would you speak about what the citizen spoke about? That's my.
Yes, because then it's my own interpretation.
No.
It's not saying what the citizen, it could be misinterpreted from what the citizen said.
Right. So that's why it's
That's why we-
anecdotal. And I'll just
You
get clarification from legal. You know, that's the easiest way to clarify. I'm sorry if you're upset.
No, I'm not upset. I just feel sometimes frustrated with you, Julie, because I feel like you don't always listen to what other people are saying. If your mindset is different.
Point of order.
I'm
I
sorry.
think we need to stop here because otherwise
Yeah.
we can get into personalities and I don't want to do that.
You just did.
I'm sorry I opened the box.
No. It's good because it's actually clarifying a number of points. One, I think we have the practice. We get emails all the time, liking something, not liking something, or sharing, and we don't bring those in, sort through, and decide I'm going to share this one or that one. That wouldn't be appropriate. Nor, in my view, would it be appropriate for me to select one. And then share it, and then capture the meeting by deciding to give my own thoughts about it. We need to be very focused on what our agenda is, and if someone has something that they want to say, they should be here under citizens' comment, or they should send it through the superintendent's office, and when you and the superintendent review and put the agenda together, you make a decision on whether or not that's going to be a topic for conversation on the agenda. But let's just be careful, because I just want to caution about a slippery slope.
Do you have something, Renee?
I do. I don't know if it's appropriate. Tell me to stop it.
I just wanted to bring it back around to the goals for the superintendent, if that's okay. And sort of just provide a point of clarity from my perspective as a teacher and the role of how the goals are listed here and the role of the principals being the instructional leaders, and the superintendent's role to support those leaders. And so I feel like this actually is a really good student outcome goal in the fact that the superintendent has the role to support the instructional leaders, and therefore it would trickle down to the teachers, and their important work could be done more thoroughly and thoughtfully and without armor and all the things that Superintendent Kinsella talked about in her interview, which I very much appreciate. So I feel like this is, in essence, a student learning goal, because the superintendent, and again, as Superintendent Kinsella talked about in her, about her 11 reporting, like the administrative team being 11 people to report and possibly the restructuring there. Again, the economies there were relevant to student outcomes, because just in tidying all of those sorts of things up, I think it will trickle down to students, and teachers will appreciate it and have. And so again, principals are instructional leaders and have a huge important role there, but they need to lean on someone. And so that's just how the structure is set up in terms of how we understand it as teachers and how we can do our best work and be our best selves. So I'm not sure if that's helpful.
Oh, great, thank you.
Well,
Raina?
Thank you very much for sharing that. I think that really gets at the crux of the goal that, I feel like it's really important to have healthy, well-functioning adults in order to support the students. And if there's a healthy adult population, then the students will benefit. And having principals who can give really good, focused feedback to help the teachers improve their practice. And, even the best teachers have room for improvement. We all do. And so I think that's really, I feel like that's a really good goal that supports the students in a constructive way, and helps form a healthy climate so that people can give feedback it's hard to give feedback. It's really hard to do it well, and doing that well just helps improve the climate all that more.
Great, thanks, Raina. Is there anyone else on this? Okay. So we will move on here. Business number 2, selection of school committee member for PVRS principal search.
Karen, I didn't email you, I don't think specifically about it, but I did want to make available for people for your conversation about the selection, the search timeline, which is on this, I don't know what you call this color paper.
This one.
Canary.
Something, light goldenrod. So just, you've seen this multiple times, but there is the timeline. And then behind it is the charge to the committee, as it were.
Okay, so what,
That's light blue.
I have kind of separated mine out here.
There you go.
And this is, this document is what I use with a search committee when we meet for the first time, and we meet with no agenda other than understanding the search process, what the parameters are, what the role of the search committee is. There's no looking at application packets on this day. This is how we will operate. So I wanted to make sure folks had that as they thought about putting themselves forward. Yeah.
Did you have in here your planned composition of the search committee, students, teachers, number?
We put that online. I can say it out loud.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. So, and if you go to our website, on the high school website, the middle school, high school website, there's a link right at the top. We have a page for the principal search. I am the chair of the search committee. There is one school committee member. We were hoping for both elementary principals. Mrs. Damaris will be participating. I just learned today that for some personal reasons, Dr. Carrier won't be able to participate. We've invited the PVASP to give us three names. No, PVREA. And PVASP is recommending some names. I just received the names today of 2 students through the Student Council. I have asked the school council to recommend 2 parents or guardians.
How about
That's it.
a town person? Did you give any thought to like one town representative, somebody finance or whatever you're thinking?
I had not considered that.
Okay, you might.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Keith Cummings wants to join another committee, is my Keith? And I will say, it's pretty typical for a committee, a search committee that I lead, to come out of it saying that they actually enjoyed the process and that people feel like they had a real voice.
Yeah.
Everybody at the table has equal voice when we're talking about which candidates we might want to interview and which candidates we might want to recommend as finalists. Again, it's my decision in the end, but at the table, everybody has equal voice, including our students.
Good.
Thank
So was there a member selected from the committee to be on the?
We were going to open it to the
Oh.
full school committee.
All right.
To see if anybody is interested, and I'd like to echo the feeling that it is a wonderful process to be part of if you have the time. I was once on a search, principal search for Pioneer Valley, and we ended up with a wonderful principal during that time. And I found the school visit to be very important in the process. So if you do volunteer, I hope you'll be able to go on 1 or 2 school visits. So is anybody interested in being on this committee? I know we're all kind of oversubscribed right now, but, and you have this calendar in front of you, you'd have to be able to meet for these events, but it's really, take a minute to look at the dates to make sure.
Can
Anyone?
folks get back to you?
So, I've done principal search committees as a teacher when I used to be a teacher, and have done the school visits. And I don't know necessarily if we would have enough if I withdrew from the superintendent search committee. Like, I just don't want to be on both committees, right? I mean, I could, but I don't want any. But if no one is going to, thinks that they can do it, I absolutely can do all of this and make it work within my schedule. So,
Jeannie?
Yes.
You have volunteered?
No one else, yes.
So Melissa and Jeannie have volunteered.
Well, I think hers was an if.
Oh,
I mean, it just kind of depends on what everybody. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 of us on the superintendent search committee. I could do both, or I could do one or the other. So
You and Jeannie would make an excellent addition to that for the principal search.
I think we have one place.
Oh, we only have one.
So
Oh, well,
if
you're
Jeannie-
volunteering
If
then,
Jeannie
Jeannie.
would like to, then
Yeah.
then absolutely.
Yeah.
Then I will continue.
Work within my schedule.
It
I was
works?
just looking to see about Tuesdays, and there's only one Tuesday that I can arrange my other if need be.
Good.
Is everybody agreeable then?
Yeah.
Okay, do we need to take a vote, or are we all just on appointing her? You
yeah.
appoint her.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julie, you can
Yep.
appoint.
Yep.
You can
So
appoint.
Jeannie Milton will be
Yay, Jeannie.
our,
Yeah.
So, it looks like there was meetings yesterday, is that right, Patricia?
So I set up times for staff families and students to share with me.
Okay.
So that's all. The only dates you have to really worry about are the ones shaded in blue. And know that on the 17th of March,
Yes.
I'll be giving each member of the search committee a big packet of applications.
All right,
And then you've got your work cut out for you over that weekend to read them.
all right.
Could I ask a point of clarification? At one point in our emails back and forth, you said that if someone wanted to be involved somewhat, but not be one of the members, they could perhaps participate in some aspects such as a school visit. Is that still an invitation? Okay, so people will be apprised of how you're doing and what the finalist schools are, and that will be offered again, right? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Just, so to that point, Karen, so it could be that the search committee had selected maybe 2 or 3 candidates to consider, and would be doing multiple site visits and then bringing that information back. So your point about having more people available is a good one.
Okay. All righty, because those aren't in blue on this sheet, but they are down below all the blue items. There are those days that are set aside for additional ways to get involved.
And just a point of something to note. One of the reasons during a search or in advance of a search that we map things out in such a detailed way is so that in the posting, we can let prospective candidates know what our timeline is and very specific dates. So they know that if they are fortunate enough to be invited for an initial interview, they know upfront that our finalist days will be that first week of April, so that folks aren't surprised and they're, I hope, watching their calendars. So that's the reason why one of the reasons why we set all this up in advance.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next is the update on Director of Finance search.
Okay, this is in process. Let's see what we've got. All right. First, a point of information. I didn't send this out electronically. It's a lot of paper. Someone had asked me at the last meeting whether we had a calendar of tasks for the financial office. Stephanie, was that you? Did you ask me about that? Someone asked me about whether we, so I reached out to my network and got a few different business office calendars. I really like this one. This one was, it's overkill to be in your packet, but I wanted you to see. It's a nice spreadsheet with drop downs for every line. A team of finance administrators put it together and refined it. This is the kind of thing I love because it says month by month. If you're keeping on top of the things, in the month of July, make sure you're getting this stuff done. In the month of September, get these things done. So I have a few of these, but I really like this one. So I wanted to, someone asked me if we have one, so I made sure I went and got one.
What would cabinet meeting mean?
That would be the senior administrative team.
Oh, okay. All right. I never heard of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I could have a cabinet.
Cabinet.
Okay. All righty. Yes.
Yeah.
Chief of Staff.
You asked about the job description for Director of Finance.
Yes.
That was done purposely, that it was listed as a Director of Finance, because that fit the title and the credentials for the person we hired.
Okay.
We
Look,
made it a Director of Finance because they couldn't be a business administrator.
Jeannie, I was really happy to see that because I've been saying business manager because that's what I thought this district said. That's the term I'd been hearing, but you did approve a job description for a director of finance.
Because it fit.
It
It's
fits
a
that
much more
Because it
appropriate.
fit
Yeah.
it fit the title and credentials for the person we hired.
But I'm not so sure that, I mean, we still want the certification of a school business manager.
Yes, yes. we just-
It's called school business administrator.
Oh,
Administrator.
administrator,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay.
Exactly, but
Because-
that's when we hired Tanya.
Right.
Yep.
We had to change the title
Yes, I'm
to
agreeing
fit the
with it.
qualification.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so my goal for this part of our conversation is to let you know what I've put together so far and where things stand and what I'm thinking about in terms of a timeline. Again, this is a position that you have to approve, the committee. You need to approve a new Director of Finance. This is not, I'm running the search, but it's not my choice here. So I wanted to share with you what the landscape is in terms of districts that are looking for business administrators right now. I believe you should have in your packet a single sheet that's got a table with the number of school districts up top. So I had a column in here for salaries because I wanted to give the committee a sense of what other people are doing, and I took that out because very few districts are posting their salaries, so I think we're really smart to do so because we're going to look good against a few other local districts. I've been on the phone with people. So you had, and this is public information, you had approved up to $125,000 as a salary. In the eastern part of the state right now, it's a different story, right? Salem, down at the bottom, Salem has posted right now for someone for $155,000 to $170,000. I spoke, this is not public knowledge, so I'm going to give a few that are not, I'm not going to name it. I spoke with someone today who's a former colleague, it turns out. They are posting up to 170. Some of the more local ones are up to 120. There are a few of those.
Do you
So-
know what Mohawk is?
I'm not allowed, yes, I do, but I can't say
Oh, okay.
because they've not
They've not,
posted it.
okay.
So that's what I'm saying. I was on the phone with people trying to get a sense of where do we fit?
Yeah.
But since they haven't posted, I don't want to say who's doing what. I could say Salem because they put that on their posting. So you can see, look at all those ones closing until filled. And look at the ones with the start date of immediately. I spoke with someone who posted a little bit ago, and they had gotten about 6 applications at that point. I spoke to someone else who posted, and they have not gotten any so far. So we will do a good job with this search, and we have to manage our expectations. We'll see what we get. Right? To that notion of we will do a good job, on the bottom half of the page is just some initial thinking about groups and people that I want to be reaching out to and asking to share the posting. I've spoken with Rick Kingsley about this. I've spoken with the former Director of Finance in Lincoln, who's a great colleague. I'll be reaching not only to MASBO, the Mass Association of School Business Officers, but also our Vermont and New Hampshire counterparts. So there's some folks on here who will amplify the posting for us. So I just want you to know, when it goes out, I'm not just putting it on School Spring and crossing my fingers. I'm going to hustle and keep hustling to get it out there.
Tricia, you're going to reach out to Vermont and New Hampshire.
I am.
My question is their credentials?
So they would have different credentials. We would have to look at them carefully. And given the state of the pool and what I'm hearing from other districts, and this was actually recommended to me. I don't know if it was Rick who recommended it or someone else in a conversation with Rick who said you've got to be looking up in New Hampshire and Vermont. If it were an experienced person from New Hampshire, let's say, who had everything except for the Massachusetts licensure, I would encourage the committee to look at that person carefully.
Just a concern. Their regulations and laws are pretty different, having been in both Mass and in New Hampshire. I'm not familiar with Vermont, but we need, some people for their own benefit would be wanting to know and would be, getting themselves up to speed on Chapter 70 and our funding and our financial requirements. So if there's a preliminary conversation to be had with a candidate, it would be in the best interest to try to drill down at that point to find out if they would be trying to learn all of the nuances of Massachusetts while they're trying to handle the finances of, right now, a fairly complicated district that can become uncomplicated once we have more things in place. So I have mixed reservations, but they're really hard to find, and you may be looking over the line.
And I share some experience with you, Alan. I did work in New Hampshire also. And funnily enough, in a district that was hiring interim business folks who had both Massachusetts and New Hampshire licensure. Yeah, no, the preference is for someone who's familiar with our ecosystem in Massachusetts.
Right.
Certainly.
And if they may know, but if they don't, you might remind them that if they're a sitting business administrator in a contiguous state, that as long as they have a job, they can apply for certification in Massachusetts, and they would be given a provisional. But if they didn't have a job, then it's a long process. So give them a heads up, because that's how it works from Massachusetts going to
Okay.
the other states.
Okay, that's good information. Thank you. So in front of you, you have two different versions of a draft posting, along with the original job description approved by this committee in June of 2018. One of the postings is briefer. It's a single page right now. Some version of this posting is what we would put on SchoolSpring. And SchoolSpring is the major online job website for public education professionals, at least in this region of the country. The idea being, don't want to overwhelm someone with a 4-page list of responsibilities, rather make this a little enticing, hence the copy about pristine uplands and quintessential New England town centers, et cetera. And don't forget, we're near Route 91. So the briefer version would go online on SchoolSpring with a link to a web page that would have the longer version that lists all of the responsibilities. I did make some changes from the job description. This is not a job description, it's the posting. So I don't want you to worry that I'm unilaterally changing the job description. I'm not. This is a posting, and it very clearly says at the end, responsibilities outlined here aren't everything. They could change. I did have, again, Rick Kingsley and my former colleague, who's got just decades of municipal finance and school finance experience, go through it and help me make some edits to bring it up to date and clarify a few things. So there's a draft calendar, but that calendar hasn't been completely fleshed out. It will be a busy couple of months because I'll be running 2 searches simultaneously. I haven't thought yet about what the composition of the search committee for this position would be like. We have a couple weeks. I need to get this up, and then I can be thinking about that and coming back to this committee and letting you know my thoughts on that and asking for your participation in it. So I guess what I am asking is, any feedback on changes you would want to the postings, and do you feel these postings are in good enough shape for me to go ahead and put them up online and start this search?
I would like to see, instead of Director of Finance and Operations.
Oh, I have to ask about that, yeah.
Have that be the business manager, of whatever.
Administrator.
Appropriate.
Administrator.
Yeah, because that's the certification they're going to get, is business administrator.
Right.
That's a good point.
'Cause that's what we're actually looking for.
Yeah.
Sorry, so,
Oh, Jim?
I don't have a question. I just have to leave now and go to work, so.
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
Jim.
Jim.
Have a good weekend.
So Jeannie, thank you. So the current job description in the district is Director of Finance. I had a question about adding operations, and one of my colleagues brought that, outside colleagues brought that up. Given that the draft posting makes very clear this person will need to be the administrator for food services, transportation, and facilities. So that's operations. I really need a senior level person who manages some other people and is my compare, as it were, next to me. So, fine, if it has and operations, that's great, and if not, that's completely fine. But I'm a little confused. Are you saying we shouldn't say Director of Finance?
Yes, because I recall this from Tanya. She said Director of Finance doesn't have these reports under them.
Isn't the
like-
certification, it's a certified business administrator? Is that what you were
Yeah,
saying?
it
Matt?
is,
The
it is,
school
but
business
there's,
administrator, but
Yeah.
there's latitude to
yes.
for the job title.
Yeah.
The title does not have to be school business administrator.
Right, it doesn't. That's the certification which you would request. It would make sense, if you're going with that, to have Director of Business and Operations. When I look at the many qualifications that the Director of Business and Operations in Guild Monaco has, she is certified as a business administrator, but that's not her title. And I'd like the fact that the title really kind of clears that they're not only handling the business aspect, but they're handling the operations. So that's fairly common. So I'm okay with Director of Business and Operations. Thank you.
Oh, I thought you were saying you didn't want finance.
Either one.
Okay.
But
Is it that we're actually looking for? Is it
you're looking for someone that has all the qualifications that are here.
No, I'm just saying, what is the official title of the person that we're looking for? That's what should go here.
When I look at the list, Jeannie, on this page of the other districts,
Yeah,
That's
I
a good-
did see this
Yeah.
on some of them.
yeah. So we've got Director of Finance and Operations, Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Administration, Director of Business and Support Services, I don't,
That's kind of
Director of
broad.
Finance and Operations, School Business Manager, School Business, I'm very surprised that Duxbury does that, actually. Mohawk Trail is a straight-up business manager, Director of Finance and Operations, Director of, I don't know.
A lot of them are Director of Finance and Operations. So,
Go ahead, Jeannie.
so I guess it can go either way. I'm just thinking of how we change wording based on Tanya's qualifications, and I don't want, and it looks like part of her, that her title has actually been approved, is what is being currently used. Very different from when we hired her.
Right. And so what's interesting about that, it's kind of in reverse. We couldn't call her a business administrator, and we couldn't advertise if we were going to hire her as a business administrator, because doing that would be very clear. She had to be certified to do that. So this is really clear. I thought you were going to say, Jeannie, Director of Finance and Operations, because it's clear that they're going to be handling all aspects, including food service, building and grounds. They'll be supervising a number of staff. So I really like that title. We're covered because the job description says
Director.
you have to be certified as a business administrator.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
just
comfortable.
want to say in this one, I don't see anything about, in the big,
Last
in the,
page. Any qualifications? Last page, at the top. Master's in degree in business administration.
no, I'm
Uh-oh.
talking about the facilities and the lunch program, in your 4-page one.
At the top, on the first paragraph, on the.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, facilities, okay. No, I was just looking at where it says number 1, financial, then 2, accounting, 3.
I don't see it.
I was looking more for, you've got transportation, but I didn't see facilities and the lunch program.
It's there.
It's the
right here.
first paragraph.
Right here,
No, I
facilities.
know it's there.
You mean
I'm
outlined
looking
in the-
under the
on the- yep,
numbers.
yep.
I'm looking on the outline of the numbers. I don't see anything like that there. But maybe it's in your more lengthy one, under the Director of Finance job description.
Okay, thank you, Heath. No, I think we need to map that out more.
Yeah, it's not
Yep.
mapped out on
It's
either of
transportation,
them.
yep. We'll map it,
I
I'll put
think
in a
you
couple
need
bullet
to
points.
put,
Yep,
yeah,
I will, thank
facilities
you.
and more about the lunch program.
So,
Alan?
yeah, so
Profitable lunch.
the one that says Director of Business and Support Services, usually that means that person is also doing human resource responsibilities. But I'm embarrassed to say I don't know who performs that function in this district?
We don't, you're
don't
looking at
have
the
one.
person.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that person should also be doing that, the human resource part, or overseeing someone that's doing that. That,
Working together with someone.
yeah, but the superintendent, that's,
Yeah, I've worked in a few small districts where there's not an HR person and the responsibilities are dispersed among several members of the leadership team. It's hard. I don't know what to say.
well, because, you know, the query, the information that you have to give an employee when they start is absolutely critical. You miss that, you're in trouble. If someone's terminated or someone leaves and you don't give them that information, that's problematic. So, generally, you want that responsibility to lie with someone, and then they can work with people to handle various aspects of it. They don't have to touch everything, but as long as they're coordinating that those things are happening. So, I didn't know if you were thinking that the director of business operations, with that word operations, was going to cover that aspect.
I don't know that I would ask them to cover that fully. What I am interested in is seeing how we can get someone in, and I have reached out to superintendents, and Rick Kingsley reached out to the Collins Center at UMass Boston to get someone in to do an audit of our HR practices, because we have some legal exposure there
Yeah.
currently.
Okay, good.
Michelle?
You do have it here under payroll and personnel, oversee personnel and human resource operations, insurance and legal.
That's it.
Yeah, you do have that.
Yeah,
So the director of operations.
they're doing a big job. So I'd like to rephrase my request of the committee. With your good feedback, would you feel okay if I go back and do some tweaking to the posting? The posting is not an official job description. It's not what they signed to. Would you be okay if I go tweak it and get this up and out?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would, can I make a comment
Yeah, please
about the
do.
lunch program? I mean, that you really put something there, that it's a profitable lunch program, oversee the, what's his title?
I think he's Director of Food Services.
Yeah, oversee Director of Food
Yep.
Service,
I will do
something
that.
about profitable lunch program.
It's
I
making
can't say it
money.
enough.
It's making money.
The mask.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'll let you know when the posting is up. And keep your fingers crossed, people. We're gonna,
Both Robin and Nathan are texting me that they do not have the link.
to the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll email them the link.
Okay.
I'm on, just so
Oh,
everyone knows.
Yay!
Hi.
I
Yeah,
don't think.
I got on, thank you.
How did you get? Did you?
I
I
asked
know.
for my kids, and they did their magic on the computer.
Oh, there you go.
He hacked into the meeting.
If you do it, when you're the invitation to attend the school committee meeting, if you respond yes at the first question, it doesn't get put on your calendar.
Right, you have
You
to,
have to do it to the bottom,
Okay.
and then it gets put onto your calendar.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's where people are having issues.
Yeah, could be. I just
That's the wrong
so
meeting.
you resent it, so hopefully
I
she'll
just
be able to.
resent it to her.
Okay.
Okay. Next.
All right, thank you.
All right. So the next item here, Patricia, I may need your help on this
Yep.
one to know the latest and the greatest. So a couple of committee members have sent emails just asking for an update on the mask mandate. I believe everyone knows that it was announced that as of February 28th, so here Desi is stating how the commissioner will not renew the state mask requirement after it expires on February 28th. Effective Monday, February 28th, the Desi mask requirement will be lifted statewide. I did reach out to our district medical leadership. So Dr. Potee as well as Carla Simpson, our nurse leader. They both feel as though we should continue with our current masking policy, reviewing the local data. The local data, Dr. Potee was saying, is still quite high.
Yeah.
The local numbers. They would feel more comfortable revisiting this. Our next meeting is on March 10th. They even mentioned more towards the end of March when warmer weather is hopefully beginning and windows can be opened or students are spending more time outdoors. So their recommendation is to keep our current policy enacted until that time. So that is the guidance we've been given.
Do we need a special permission to do that? from the
I believe
state?
that the no, Carla had said that it's up to the local.
I asked
Yeah.
Russell for guidance on this,
Yes.
and the committee could choose to keep the policy as it exists, to revise the policy, or to rescind the policy. It is
Okay.
the committee's decision what to do.
So we should have a motion.
Well, the
I don't think
current-
we need one,
yeah, the
because if
current
we do
policy
nothing, the
stays-
policy just stays as
Yeah.
it is. If we're going to change it or revise it, then we need a motion to do it. But if we're not taking any action, what we have remains.
But the governor is saying it's lifted.
But that's the governor. That's not
I
us.
know, Alan, but I've also heard of other towns.
Yeah, Athol Royalston lifted theirs in the school.
Well, just making the policy clearer.
Rena?
I was going to say, the governor is just saying that it's not
a recommendation,
that
I think.
people don't have to mask up by mandate, but that the local communities and schools can still make their own decisions about whether they want to continue using masks. So we can still continue our current policy of requiring masks in the schools if we feel that that's warranted. And it doesn't violate anything. We still have that option.
I just
Yeah.
see the possibility of some parents say, well, the governor has lifted the mask mandate. And if we voted on a policy to continue our current policy, that would just make it clearer.
I think that's a good idea.
Melissa?
Could we put it on the March agenda?
No, because the governor lifts it as of the 28th of February.
To change our policy for the
No,
March
he's
agenda?
lifting the mask mandate.
Nope, I know that. Yep. So what I'm saying is instead of getting into this any further, we're going to continue with the policy and then we'll put it on the agenda for March to have a discussion on whether we would continue the policy, right, or change the policy or whatever. I would also like to hear from families also, because I think one of the things that Patricia's done really well is with the district newsletters and asking for feedback from community members. And I think that making sure voices are also heard throughout this entire process is a collaborative approach. And so whether it goes to continue the policy after March 10th, I think, keep it as it is, but then put it on the March agenda, have a formal discussion about it.
Nathan has his hand raised, and I think then Jeannie and Alan. All right, go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you. I think based on the advice we're getting from our medical professionals, that we should continue the policy, and I think it would help clarify how to vote to do that, and then revise it at the next meeting on March 10th.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you.
It was Jeannie and then Alan.
I was actually going to make a motion I would like to make a motion that we will continue our current mask policy per recommendation from our school physician and nurse leader, and revisit it on a month-to-month basis.
Is there a second?
I second.
I second that.
There's nothing to read.
Oops. No, there's not. I had it on to for Robin. Right. I know. I changed it to a British. I love it. He gives me directions and Alan.
Yeah, so I support that, and that I think that Patricia would continue her current practice of announcing in her letter because that's when they come back on the 28th. So sending something out that announces to the parents what that will remain in effect, and that they'll be reaching out to solicit feedback in March. So that you craft it that we'll be looking for parents to give us their feedback, so that's part of the data we're considering.
Stephanie?
I think to add to Alan's point for the data part is we're hearing these recommendations from you, but can we hear the recommendations from our medical people? Can they actually come to our March 10th meeting and have the discussion with us so we can ask questions ad lib? And is there any data about the student vaccination rates and get that type of data as well so we can make an informed decision based off of that? I guess just to my point, when the governor made the recommendation for us to mask up last year, 2 years ago, we didn't have a problem doing it, and now he's making the recommendation that we don't have to mask anymore. And we're still being very cautious, which I understand. It's going to be right after February break, so I will appreciate that this will be on the March 10th agenda so we can discuss it a little bit further and have more data to support our decision going forward.
Oh, okay. I happened to look up the vaccination rates for students in Massachusetts, and it's very high for one dose, but full vaccination with a booster, of course, for age 5 to 11, they haven't even gotten there yet, so it's 0. For 12 to 15, it's only 26 that are fully vaxxed and boosted. And for 16 to 19, it's only 41% fully vaxxed and boosted.
And that's in our district?
In Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yep, Melissa?
So, when the governor or anyone, Boston, right, makes a statement, we always look at local. And so I would definitely, part of the survey, staff, family, like what is the thought process? And if people are willing to, right, give their vaccination information, right, potentially. Because when this came out, also, 42 high schools had already qualified in Massachusetts because the staff and the students had reached 80% vaccination rates within the high school, right? So 42 schools, 21 are pending right now to be able to lift the masks within the high schools, middle high schools. However, that's still up to the school district and the local health departments on whether that would be allowed. But as of last Tuesday, or this past Tuesday, a couple days ago, they're good to go with the stamp of approval from DESE. So the only thing on the motion that's on the floor is to revisit it every month. I would just want some clarification that are we going to vote on this every month or revisit it every single month at a meeting with new data and then constantly reevaluate?
I'm interpreting that's what the motion is, and that if we're going to talk about it on the 10th,
Right.
if we decide it needs to be extended or the data says otherwise, we would take an action or not. Of course, the parents have the option of having their kids continue to wear masks or become fully vaccinated. So we didn't have that before. So there are other things that parents can now do that we couldn't do before.
I'd like to seek clarification of, I know you haven't voted yet, but the directive to me, will certainly disseminate whatever vote you take tonight. I'll get that out into a district update. And my understanding is that the committee would like to revisit this issue at the March 10th meeting, and there's a request that Dr. Potee and Carla Simpson come so they can share information. I can see what we've got for data regarding our students' vaccinations. What I'm not clear about is seeking feedback, because I would not be comfortable venturing into a territory where we're asking families, should we not mask up? That's not what you're asking me to do.
No, no.
Okay.
No, I think.
Okay, that was what I was.
We're basing it on the data from our medical
Yeah.
professionals for our district. Other recommendation.
When I had
yeah.
mentioned putting out a survey for families, soliciting feedback on what their perspective is, I've seen other schools have sent out a survey to families asking and reading the temperature on how they're feeling about that as being part of the decision. So my question, I guess, posed more to the committee is, what do we want for information to make our decision? Are the decisions going to be solely reliant on the medical professionals? Is it going to be on the governor or O'Reilly, who says this is okay, we can do this? Is it going to be families? I mean, do parents, will that have any say in what our committee decides to do? So that was what I was getting at with putting out a survey. And I had only suggested that because I have seen a school that has done that and had put a survey out to families to take that survey. So,
Go ahead.
I would just like to add that another group that would be impacted would be the staff.
yeah,
And they should definitely be.
absolutely. And that's what
I haven't, so I was approached by one of the unions who wanted me to know, and I shared this with Carla and Julie, that they hope that the district moves cautiously and slowly. Certainly, please don't make a change immediately after vacation. So that is an informal.
And I see Claire nodding her head. Yes.
Renee. Renee?
No, Claire.
Oh, Claire. Claire. Okay.
Oh, and Robin would like to speak. Go ahead, Robin.
I'm sure that everyone knows this, and I know I'm just stepping in, but everyone is clear that students returning after testing positive for COVID, if they're 24 hours with no symptoms after 5 days, they will still be required to wear masks for those days up until 10 days, because 31% are still infectious for up to 10 days. So there still will be masks in the school.
Yes.
Yeah.
No matter what your decision is for that.
Julie? Julie?
Yes, sorry, Alan, and then Michelle.
So my intent or understanding was, in fact, that we would be getting information, from feedback from the parents, staff, and so forth. From a personal perspective, I take more of the direction from the medical professional staff. However, it's an opportunity for them to educate the public and as well as parents by presenting the information they have. But it's also an opportunity for them to hear how people are feeling and what they're thinking. And so they just take that under advisement, going forward, because I think it's important that they get that information as well. So the superintendent creates that avenue to have that information shared as well. We would all take that under advisement, I guess, but
Thanks,
The
Alan.
only thing I wanted to add, you said almost what I was thinking, is I think the feedback back from the community, the parents, whatever, is if the numbers are low for vaccination, why? Is it transportation? Is it getting it? I know that there was a clinic here last week. I was going to volunteer, but it starts at 1. I don't know how well attended they are. You know, is there a barrier from our kids getting vaccinated? And so I would like to see that data.
How many people have been, what are the barriers to getting vaccinated?
Well, how many of our what is our numbers?
The student vaccination rate?
Yes,
Yes,
the
I'll
student vaccination
I'll see what we have.
Yeah, and if we still have outbreaks, then that would be good information. If there are barriers, or if is it parents that don't want to? I don't know the answer, but I think that would be good to involve. That's why you would involve with a survey.
So we do have a motion on the table. We've had discussion. Any further discussion? So we can go ahead and take a vote. We'll start with Melissa.
Melissa Gary, Bernardston, yes.
Could you read back the motion? I don't know if Robin heard it or the others, but
I
just.
heard it. I heard it.
Okay.
I'm good.
Um,
Can we read it back though?
Anne, would you mind reading it back though? You're on mute, Anne. I hope Anne's there.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
great.
I'm having a little mouse issue.
No, that's okay.
The motion was to continue the current mask policy per the advice of the medical professionals, Dr. Potee and the nurse leader, Carla Simpson, and revisit the discussion monthly.
Does that sound right? Yep. Okay. All right. So Melissa said yes. Or voted yes.
I thought that was a minute.
I thought it was something, or maybe it was just me, about making sure it was on the March agenda. Is that separate?
I think it implies when we say monthly.
Yeah, it has to be then.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Stephanie
Do you want
Winslow.
me to change it to have it on the agenda monthly?
That's what, if this motion passes, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
Was that the intent, Ginny, of your motion?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Because levels can change. I mean, certainly we need to listen to our professionals, our health professionals for the district.
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield, yes.
Jeannie Milton, Bernardston, yes.
Karen O'Neill, Leiden, yes.
Alan? Oh, you're thinking,
I
sorry.
was thinking, I'm just hoping that within that motion is the fact that we're going to reach out to the community and get information and so forth. So,
All right.
Alan Genevieve Warwick, yes.
Michelle Jeruso, Leiden, yes.
Raina Dastu, Northfield, yes.
Robin Knight, Leiden, yeah.
Who was that?
Nathan Swartz, Warwick, yes.
Okay. And Julie Burke, Northfield, yes. Okay, thank you. Next is other business not anticipated at the time of posting. I actually want to bring something up, and this obviously was completely unanticipated. You know, I am the chair of the school committee. I'm left now feeling a little uneasy given a comment that was made with regards to how I conduct myself as chair. So, from the bottom of my heart, my motivation in accepting the nomination to be chair was to help the school committee in the best possible way to do the very best job that they can. That being said, I also have my own voice on the committee, and I get to express my own personal opinions on matters. I can completely see where those lines could become blurry or perceived as blurry, since I do have the capacity of the leader in the meetings. I do not want to be a leader of a committee that does not have confidence in me. This is an enormous amount of time that is spent on my own, in addition to my overly full-time job and 3 boys, my husband, my family, 3 dogs, and a cat. I can't stress, and I do that because I take pride in what I do for this committee, and it is my goal to 100% facilitate these meetings in a respectful and dignified manner, to be as organized as possible so that you have the tools you need to do your job. I fully support you choosing a new chair if that is what this committee feels they need or want. Other than this evening, I have never heard feedback from anyone that wasn't positive. If anyone wants to give me feedback, constructive criticism, I would respectfully ask that you do that outside of a public meeting. I do not think that any of us should be critiquing each other's actions or integrity in their roles on the committee in a public meeting. That is not a respectful way to address each other. So I want to give you all an opportunity now to either move forward with me in confidence or to truly choose another chair with no hard feelings whatsoever. But I need your confidence if I'm going to move on. This has left me feeling very uneasy. Robin?
I apologize for not being here. I had another meeting I had to be at. I was not here for the comment, but I thought that we had moved well beyond that on this committee. That was old behavior. I did not witness it. I will go back and watch the recording. Julie, you have run these meetings highly professionally. You have brought a level of calmness and professionalism, and I had no issues at all with the previous chair also, but you've done a fine job, and please don't leave. Please don't.
Thank
Please,
you.
'cause I'm teetering as it is.
Karen?
Yes, ditto. And if I might make a motion, I'd like to move that the committee express its confidence in our present chair, our thanks for the professionalism with which she has conducted herself, and our hope that she will continue.
I will second.
Any further discussion?
I would just like to say that I don't think anyone realizes how much work this is. And I think that both you and Patricia have spent enormous time. Karen, I don't know how much time you've been spending lately, but the issues that we are dealing with are a lot all at once. And I think we just need to move forward for the future. And I think the pandemic has just taken a lot out on people. There's a lot of stressors. And I just hope that we can all move forward. I think if we all just realize what we're here for, we can get our work done in a very upbeat manner. And I think you have a lot of integrity, and I value that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I support, Karen, how you worded that. And I just want to say, I don't think it was intentional to sound disrespectful. I think it was just expressing a concern, and I didn't take it as it being disrespectful.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to add, I've watched the school committee for years, and there's been opportunities for me to join. And how I've seen the progression of the school committee recently has made it seem possible to be part of a committee like this. But I do feel like tonight we saw behaviors of the past, and I was appalled at how people chose to speak to you. and also kind of with each other. You know, we can have, we can make statements in different ways and in different places. So I will not be part of a committee, though, that treats their members the way I witnessed tonight. So there will be also a lot of our positions up for election in November, and I want people to join us. I want people to grow this district and have it a safe, fun, and engaging place for students. And we need to make that a welcoming and warm and collaborative committee. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you. Nathan.
Yeah, I'm glad we're having this conversation. It's a good conversation to have. You know, we all need to like really connect and have confidence in each other. I think we have a good team. We're making some good progress. We need to work together to continue that progress. And as part of that conversation, being in charge is tricky. It's you want to do what you feel is the best thing for the situation moving forward, but you don't want to overstep your bounds. And there have been times where issues have been continually pressed, right? Where we've extended conversations, and it's you know it's been continued by the leadership. So that's something that we all need to be aware of, right? We're all in this together. We all need to work as a team. We all have an equal voice, and we all need to allow each other to have that voice. So I think we're doing good work going forward, and we just need to continue to do so. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Can we call the question? Vote? Can we
Yep.
vote?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Melissa Gary, Bernardston, yes.
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield, yes.
Katie Milton, Bernardston, yes.
Karen O'Neill Leiden, yes.
Alan Genovese Warwick, yes.
Michelle Druso, Leiden, yes.
Raina Dastu, Northfield, yes.
Robin Knipe, Leiden, yes.
Nathan Swartz, Warwick, yes.
Hey, Julie Burke, Northfield, yes.
Sounds like a mandate.
Thank you. All right. Any other new business? So, okay.
Executive session.
Wait.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Subcommittee report.
We do have the subcommittee reports.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then our
Right.
executive session. Okay. So it is just a time check, 20 of 9. Okay. Negotiation subcommittee. Raina.
The negotiations, we had to reschedule our last meeting with PVREA due to an illness, and we will be meeting with them on March 1st.
Hey, thank you. Building and grounds. Melissa, are you the chair?
Have you appointed me yet? No.
I believe that was the recommendation.
That was
yeah. Yes.
So we did talk about that at the last. Did I see the copy of the minutes in this packet, or was that in my?
I don't
No,
believe them.
Oh, I printed it. Right. So yeah, I had been nominated by the committee to be appointed to be the chair. So yes, we had our meeting and we invited Gretchen to the meeting, and so we were able to hear how she has started to kind of evaluate and look at the facilities, and she went, building by building, and was able to identify some things that need maintenance on. And so we are now in the process of scheduling another meeting shortly to look at the budget that's been proposed with the maintenance items, and then connect that also with a tour of the buildings.
Oh,
So
great.
we would, next meeting, would potentially be at Bernardston Elementary School. We would do a facility tour. She would identify items that would need maintenance, and then how that is connected to the budget that's been proposed.
Okay, great. Curriculum and personnel. Karen.
We have not met recently.
Budget subcommittee. Michelle, your chair?
Yep.
Yep.
We had our first meeting on Tuesday night, and the presentations were really good from Judy Houle and Patricia. We're moving forward. We're right on target. So we have meetings for the next 3 Tuesdays or 4 Tuesdays?
2 Tuesdays, the Thursday of that third week,
yeah.
and school committee votes scheduled
And
for
school
Thursday,
committee
March
votes.
10th.
So we'll be on target now. I know we're late, but there was a lot of work that had to be done.
And just to comment, maybe you're planning to do this for future, but I was expecting that after the presentation heard everything, that the budget subcommittee would then have a discussion about what they heard and, what the thinking was. And it's right after the presentation, just immediately adjourned. And so it just seemed to me odd that there wouldn't be a follow-up discussion. So I just make that as a comment.
Well, I think the next meeting, we can discuss things, that we heard. I think it takes time after you've seen the presentation to look at it again, at
That makes
least for
sense.
me.
Yep.
I have to look at numbers on a piece of paper. The screen sometimes does
Yeah,
not.
that makes
scan.
sense. Thank you. Thank you.
So, the 3 finance committee representatives from the town, the chairs from the towns attended too.
Yep.
So I'm sure they're going to have questions.
Thank you.
Okay, policy subcommittee. Karen.
Yes, we've had 2 meetings since our last school committee meeting. March 1st, we got together with Tracy Novick from Nope, March 1st, we got together with Tracy.
It's not March yet.
Oh, February 1st. Jeez.
That's why I was asking. Karen. Have you gone back to the future?
Sometimes I'd like to. February 1st, sorry. Yeah, we met February 1st with Tracy Novick of MASC, just to make sure that we had a timeline for getting the fully revised policy manual out to the entire school committee. And we think that that will happen at the April or May meeting. There's a little bit of cleanup to do. We have to look at our notes again, so that we'll be able to answer any questions that you have about specific policies and why they were added or changed or deleted and so forth. And then we met again yesterday to take up 2 policies. That's okay. One, the use of private vehicles again, that one keeps on giving. And also the therapy dog policy. And those will be ready for a vote on our March 10th meeting. Okay.
Nathan, you had your hand raised.
I did. It was just to circle back to building and grounds for a moment. My son came in and just wanted to thank Gretchen. They had a bat in their class that she came in and took care of.
Nice.
So I wanted, on his behalf, to put out a thank you to her. And I am also looking forward to a site visit of the buildings. I think that will be really helpful for us going forward. So just putting that out there.
Make sure you tell Gretchen.
I will.
Okay, district agreement.
Me again.
That's you again.
Well, we haven't met, and that is because the district agreement and the Warwick transition subcommittee are kind of like intertwining. And we had to get some information back from DESE. And tomorrow, the Warwick transition subcommittee is going to be meeting at 3:30 to make some final plans to move forward. And then now I think we can have a district agreement subcommittee meeting. So hopefully we will be meeting within the next couple of weeks on that.
Okay.
it's hard to explain, but there's a lot going on with those two, and intertwining.
Yep, good.
I'll explain it better after the meetings.
Okay. And Superintendent Search Committee, who is the chair of that one?
Me again.
All right.
So in your packet, in black and white, it doesn't do it justice. In color, this is, I think it looks very good. We met last Friday, and we got right to work. And what was pretty clear to us on the MASC website was Superintendent of Schools postings usually are in brochure form. So we all decided that we like the brochure form, and luckily a member of our subcommittee, Melissa, has publishing software, so we didn't have to bother Joanne. And so Melissa created this. I think it's a great job. What we discussed just recently is she's going to take out all the parentheses under administration and staff and just not worry about the numbers because we need to get this posted. And then one thing that we were having difficulty was coming up with a community profile. But in reading what Patricia wrote about under the Director of Finance, I really like some of the things that she put there. In our 4 towns encompass pristine forested uplands, classic New England hilltop and river valley farms. So maybe we could take some of that. No, I'm just kidding.
Much of this.
No irony there.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, much of this, Michelle had, taken notes and typed it all up. And said, if you type it up, I can just format it. Boom. So this is really a draft form. We modeled it after other ones. And so I can absolutely do it. And we didn't have anything for community profile, so I just took it off from the district plan that's posted on the website. There it is. So if there's, anything.
So I hope that this will get posted as soon as Melissa gets the.
It's ready.
It's ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
I already edited it. so I
Okay.
can
If it's edited, I will get it to MASC tomorrow.
So just a question, where are they sending it? Would they be sending it, mark it, superintendent search in care of Joanne Wallace?
Application process.
on
Oh,
the
is
back.
it there? Oh,
On the last
Under
bullet.
application.
perfect, thank you.
They have the website wrong.
That was already noted. So the website's listed
Thank you,
wrong.
Melissa. Excellent.
Oh, where's the website wrong?
So at the top, it
the
should
back.
be pvrsdk12.org, I believe.
Yep, I can do that right now. I
Okay.
can update it.
Thank you.
Joanne had actually noticed that. I think you both have an email.
Yeah,
or
I think it's in my email. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So if everyone thinks this looks okay, we will post it. And the timeline is on the back. And we will be meeting again to come up with questions.
All right. We only have 10 minutes. Obviously, we need to go into our executive session. Now, for Tyler and Otis, though, we will return to, so can we hold on the personnel? Is it okay with the committee to update personnel? We have the sheet here in our packets in our next meeting.
I
Okay.
don't think we even have to.
Right. It's really like an
It's
FYI.
informational.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So if we could vote to go into executive session, and then I'd like to entertain a motion that will say we will,
return
right,
to-
Yeah.
open session.
Not return to open.
Yep.
Yeah. I move that we pursue.
Hold on
Oh.
one second
wait.
question, yep.
Before you go in, I would just like to say that following our last regular meeting, in which we discussed negotiations, I decided it would be best if I consulted the Ethics Commission, and they finally called me back today and said that I needed to recuse myself from any discussion or vote having to do with the contract because of the one paragraph in the contract that refers to health benefits for retirees. So I will not be entering or voting on anything having to do with the contract. So I won't be going into executive session with you.
Although this session would be okay.
Okay,
Is this not to do with Pioneer?
This is not to do with the full teacher's contract.
It doesn't have, right. It's
This has
separate.
to do with some MOUs that would not touch upon
The contract.
but
a
you,
larger contract.
you certainly do what's comfortable
Yes,
for you,
yes.
yep.
But Patricia's right.
Yeah, we would.
Concern the contract.
Okay, thank you. And
So,
thank you.
I'm not clear then, because what I'm hearing there and what I'm seeing on the agenda don't seem to match that, or do they, and I'm misunderstanding. It
No,
says
because there may have been.
we're discussing strategies, collective bargaining, so is that what we're doing, or we're doing something different?
We are discussing an MOU that does relate to the teacher's contract, but it would not come anywhere near something like health insurance or the overall contract.
Oh, but you're not supposed to.
No,
Okay, yeah.
no, it's supposed to be a broad recusal. that
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you.
We tried, Karen. Thank
Going
you.
home now.
Yes, you get an earlier night. So, but who made the motion? Or was there not one
There was
yet?
not,
Okay.
Alan was going to.
Okay, Alan, can you make a motion, or I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session?
Why don't you entertain it with the language that you need?
I would like to entertain a motion to move into executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining sessions with the PVREA, Teachers Association, and to not return to open session.
I'll second that.
No, to return to open session with the
No.
sole purpose of adjourning? Oh, we don't have to do
No,
that?
we don't have
Perfect, perfect. All right,
So I entertained it.
so moved.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Melissa?
Melissa Gary, yes.
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield, yes.
Jeannie Milton, Bernardston, yes.
Alan Genovese, Warwick, yes.
Michelle Jeruso, Leiden, yes.
Raina Dastu, Northfield, yes.
Robin Knight, Leiden, yes.
Nathan Swartz, Warwick, yes.
Julie Burke, Northfield, yes. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Now, how are we doing, folks at home?
So the live stream will end. See, and it's ending.
Should I stop recording?
Um,
Yeah.